Now then, here we are, back on Van Build, and today is an exciting day because I'm going to be fitting some furniture. It's also a very hot day with that sun blaring down at me, and it is going to be 30 degrees Celsius. So we will just crack on and see what we can get done in this heat. But this is what I'm on with: fitting my kitchen. So I have pre-prepared this. It's an oak dresser which I found, and it is just a piece of beauty, but it weighed 68 kilos when I first got it, so I've had to put it on a diet. That means I have taken off a full backing, which was a 15mm piece of oak veneered ply, which was rather beautiful in itself, but unnecessary because I'm going to fit it against the wall. To get it to fit against the wall, what I've had to do is also scribe and cut off this sort of section here, and also about 40 or 50mm off the back of this worktop, so that has gone. There was also a plinth that sat down here about 60mm, so I've just cut that off so it's flush, and on top of that there was a piece of oak skirting board, and all that added to that weight, which was completely unnecessary. The height of this was determined by the wheel arch, so I've actually shaved a tiny little bit off the back there, which has just allowed it to sit nice and tight. I have got a packer here and a packer there, which allowed me to lift it up to the right height so I could scribe it to the wall, and obviously just mark on this masking tape exactly the final position. It is currently laid face down because I've given it a couple of coats of varnish just on the exposed areas which had nothing on it, mainly being all the way down this back of this worktop because we do not want to get any moisture in there. So let's just pop you down there and then lift her up into place, which isn't the easiest of jobs, obviously, because for one she does weigh 53 kilos still, but one end at a time one end at a time isn't actually too bad. Just gently pop her down, and then you can have a look and see what the plan is. There we go. I love this thing. So God, some whacking going on out there. So this is an oak dresser, and obviously I've adapted it to fit, but it took me a long time to find exactly what I wanted. Obviously there's certain things you need to think about when in a van, one mainly being the sort of size of things like the door openings. I didn't want the doors to open too far because that would have struck the other side of this corridor, so they had to be a particular size. But it's absolutely awesome. I've got so much storage. This side is going to be my sink side, so there'll be sort of the, I don't know, water and cleaning gear in this section. Drawers in the middle for probably cutlery, couple of pans, that sort of thing. And at this end it'll just be dry food storage. Underneath at this side, God, there is some whacking. So this section, I've actually built a full sort of plinth for this and some doors, and this is going to house my water heater and any sort of pumps and that sort of thing regarding water. So that is it. So let's get out, grab the rest of the gear, and I'm going to show you exactly the whole plan. I've been busy making my own little jigsaw to fit under here as a plinth to support the weight of this, but also to utilize the storage under it. And I've made it all out of oak to match in with this. And yes, oak does weigh quite a bit, but I've been fairly clever with this to make it as minimal structure as possible, which is obviously going to do the job, but obviously keep the weight down. So I have got some pieces like this, which are some supports for the corners. I've got a long piece here which fits down the front and sort of binds it all together. This is an end panel which I've made out of an old door, which is just shaped there, as you can see, to fit around the wheel arch. And then I've made 4 doors just by butchering some old cupboards and cutting them down and making them fit the space here. So let's get this jigsaw put together and fit this to the wall. But once it's in, it is in. Let's do it. Let's do it, eh? Just slot in this end panel, which I've made to fit very tightly as everything else in this van, and that's going to sit something like that. But I came up with a plan, and that is to use some of this, which is some 20mm rubber strip which has got an adhesive backing, and I'm going to stick this to everything that sits on this vinyl floor, because any spillages, any water at all that ends up on this floor essentially is going to run through the van and under these units, and it's going to be hard to either dry out, or what we don't want is any moisture soaking up into the furniture, because it can expand, and also I think it will prevent any sort of creaks or movement. So I think that is a good shout. So I am going to just stick a strip down there, and obviously on all the other pieces, which is going to lift it all up a couple of millimeters, which I have actually already allowed for. So let's get on with that. I'm just shimmying in out of that sunshine because it is ridiculously hot. Actually burning me just laid there. So, which is the bottom? That is the bottom. So all I'm going to do is cut a piece of this to fit perfectly across there. You probably noticed that I do use the word perfect quite a lot, but I definitely like to live as best as or close to perfect as possible with pretty much everything I do. So let's stick this on, and hopefully it sticks very well. If I can get the bloody sticky stuff off it. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's stuck to my finger, we know that. So I'm just going to set this back about, I'm going to say 1.5 millimeters, just so you can't really see it. It'll just show us like a perfectly straight shadow gap, I hope. It's very sticky, at least. That's the good thing. With the weight of all the furniture as well, this will just sort of iron out any irregularities of the timber or the floor, even though the floor is absolutely spot on flat. I couldn't have actually got it any flatter, to be honest. You can put a 6-foot level on it and it does not rise or bend anywhere. It is just spot on. That was easy enough. I've got a piece down the full length of this, and at exactly the halfway point I have made a proper little joint there, which I have glued and screwed from underneath, and that is the central part which sits there, and I'm going to screw down through this into that to hold that in place. The moment of truth. Will she stand alone on her minimal plinth? I have screwed and glued her where I can. So we've got a couple of fixings at each end there, which are just holding this one piece together. 2 neat fixings there, which are going to get covered by the drawer anyway, which go back down into this joint here, which is screwed from underneath. I've also just put in a screw in that corner, one in the middle and one there, which just go into that. And this whole thing is only semi-solid until it's screwed back to the wall. So that is the next job. We're going to take out all these supports and then just see if she'll stand alone. She will. That's one out. That's 2 out. And she hasn't collapsed and killed me. Damn it, scratched it already though with that. Well, that is looking pretty good. I just need to now get her fixed back to this wall. I've got a load of L brackets here which I found in my man shed, and these have got 4 fixings either side, which is overkill really for actually holding this in position, but in case of an accident it's definitely worthwhile having more fixings than less. And I'm also recycling some little tiny screws which I have taken off the doors, which I recycled and repurposed for this unit. So I like it when stuff's free like this. So let's get some brackets in, starting with one in this corner here. So I'm going to stick that about there, and what I'll do is I'll keep it about 3 or 4 millimeters off the back wall, screw it to this first, and then when I screw it to the wall it's going to really tighten it up and pull it in. So hopefully that will work wonders. Now this is always a bit fiddly when you've got tiny screws, but let's see if I can do this first one. Nope. Right, that's the first one in. Just square that up to the wall. Lovely. Get a second one in. Whoa. For the back wall I've got these which are 20 millimeters long, so they're slightly fatter and slightly longer. Not that you can see that anyway, but we're going to pin one in. That bracket is in with just a couple of fixings, and I've also got another bracket there again with a couple of fixings in. But just take a look at this, absolutely rock solid, just like that. So obviously I'm going to add some more screws to those brackets, and I'm going to add some more brackets to make sure that whilst in transit this thing is not going, because obviously you're going to end up with a little bit of g-force from cornering and from braking hard, so this thing has to be stuck, absolutely stuck there. But look at the detail, look at the perfect line there, absolutely cock on against that. And then obviously down these edges where I've had to properly scribe this in, that has come out beautifully well. Exciting this, isn't it? I'm gonna have a kitchen soon, and that means I can cook me dinner. Awesome. Right, let's get some more brackets in. Awesome. So I've got 8 brackets in now. I've got one at the top either side, one underneath either side, and I've got 4 in here, so 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. And I've put them in there just because they're out of sight, because they're going to be hidden by the drawers, which, oh, let's pop you down there, hold on. I can fit now, hold on, there we go. That slides in nicely, the top one, and then the last one. Okay. Brilliant. The only problem is these are going to slide out whilst I'm cornering, so I have to be a bit careful of that. I'm not too fussed about these because these have got pretty strong magnets top and bottom, and then what I've done on this door, I've actually added a latch here, so also this one can be locked. So I might need to add something to that to make sure, but it's just these I'm going to have to be careful with. But look at this, just to show you, this is my sink, and this thing is just perfect for what I need. Let's pop her in place now. So this is a 300mm sink because this worktop is only 400mm. So let's just slot her in. Boom. And that is perfect for here. As you can see, it's actually quite a deep sink as well, so there's going to be plenty of space for messing about in there. So with my tap that is going to be attached in this position, which is actually maneuverable, then it means that I can have the flow of water pretty much anywhere in this sink, which means I can potentially just have like a little drying area there where I could just sort of stack the plates to sort of drip dry whilst I'm washing them at this side. Something like that. So yeah, that just looks awesome, doesn't it? It is absolutely lovely. Look at that. So the next job is to fit these 4 doors in them holes there, and luckily I have, I'll just dig these out, see if I can get one of these. There we go. So these hinges here I've actually found to match those, absolute identical. So at least this is going to look like one complete unit, even though it is an amalgamation of 2 and my brain, so 3. Something like that. Right, let's set the doors on, eh? Just make sure they still fit something like. I don't really want to have to start planing the edges down. Which already looks like I'm going to have to. So we've got about 1mm, maybe a couple of mil just to take off. So ideally I want to be taking the millimetre off the hinge side rather than the face. Interesting. Let me get my head around that one. I'm just going to chop some of these hinges into the doors, and then hopefully on the other side I can just keep them flat because it's a fairly skinny hinge. I've just sharpened my chisels just in case, and they seem pretty good now. Could just do with a better workbench really. I've chopped the first pair of hinges in and they fit nicely, but the hinges have come with these stupid flathead screws which I absolutely hate. So I'm gonna pre-drill with Magic Eye. So I'll get this first one in. I'm going to attempt to do it with my actual drill rather than doing it by hand, but we'll see how we get on. If I'm gentle it might be alright. Boom! We have it. You see that? Right, that's an easy job then. Make sure we're properly aligned and we'll carry on. There we go. Quite precise with that. On to the next one, and then the next 6. I don't mind chopping in hinges actually, it's quite a therapeutic job to do. I've hung thousands of doors in my time. Well, I say thousands, maybe 100. So I'm well practiced at it, but it is time consuming, that's the only problem. Let's Let's get my next hinge out. And we'll carry on. See you in a week, eh? Jeez, it is hot, sticky, sweaty. Everything just stuck to me. Horrible day for it, but I have got the first 2 doors on and they are working well. I just need to put some sort of stop lat on it, or I think I'll do the same as what I've done in this one, which is put one of those on, which are easy enough to fit, and they do work really well. Anyway, on to the next 2 doors. I have got the hinges already on. They are planed down on the places that needed planing, ready to fit perfectly in all. So let's get this done. I've got a 2mm packer there, and I'm going to use that as my guide. I'll just pop a chisel under that, and then hopefully we won't be far off. Perfect. And the last one. Nailed it. All the doors are on and we almost have a working unit. Let's just pop you down there. So I've fit on the back of these and onto the inside of here a rollerball catch, which is pretty awesome because that just shuts nicely like that, and it sounds good, doesn't it? Problem is, I ain't got any handles on, so that's another job just to finish off. But all 4 fit like a dream. Look at that. I've just got that central little pillar there, which is right in the centre of these drawers, and overall I just think it looks like one complete unit. And this space that I've got underneath is great because obviously all this is more accessible, because as I'm stood here it means that I've got it at a height which I can sort of grab the handles easily, and I'm not having to bend down much to get to anything. And then anything that is more long-term storage is going to be under here. Just open these up. So I've got quite a big void in there, which in this side is going to house, as I said, my hot water tank. I've got all my electric and everything there, which is going to feed it. And then let me just tap this one open. Ooh. On this side I am going to have hopefully a tank that's going to fit there, just to take my sort of sink water, and then I'll have a tap outlet that'll allow that to drain out as and when I need. And that's it. Awesome, isn't it? So that's me recycling, using my brain just to try save a bit of work really, because obviously buying a complete unit already, yes, I had to adapt it and make it work, but it just meant I didn't have to make any of these drawers. All the doors were already fit. I just had to do a little bit of trimming and obviously do a cutout for the sink, and I've got one more cutout here to do, which is going to be for my hob, and I'm going to go with induction because I've got an absolutely awesome electrical system which is going to be fit in that corner there. So I'm looking forward to that one. So there we go. Brilliant, isn't it? Absolutely brilliant. So happy with that. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, it's been a hot sticky one, but I have completed what I wanted to do for the day, so I'm well happy. And now I'm gonna go get my dog and go jump in river with him. That is the plan. So we'll see you on the next one. Take care.